All right. Well, I've been doing a lot of podcasts, and it's hard to do it with friends, especially friends that I've grown up with over the course of many, many years. And Heather's one of them because all I want to do is giggle and have fun and talk about stuff. But we have to get serious a little bit here. Heather Ryder's with us. And Heather, you work for Citation, for Cessna.
Yeah.
And sales of the Citation, correct?
Yes. So technically, we're Textron Aviation. My company, Textron, actually purchased Beechcraft, and we formed Textron Aviation to combine Beechcraft and Cessna. So now it's Textron Aviation. I sell both King Airs, Denali's, and Citations, primarily focused on the Ascend latitude and longitude lines.
And then how big of an area does that cover?
So I have a giant area. I have a giant territory. Our territories are split up so that we can each have kind of an equal opportunity within the territory, because some of my states are very sparsely populated. So I have Minnesota, North and South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska, Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, Oregon, Idaho, Washington, Alaska, and Western Canada now, Manitoba over. So I have a really, really big territory.
And that's why they give you a plane every month, a free one to use, right?
Right, exactly. Can you put that on a suggestion card for my company?
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
We can get the contract changed for you.
Exactly.
So, Heather, where do you originally come from? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Idaho. I was born in Oregon, grew up in Idaho, and my dad was actually a mechanic for Horizon Airlines. So I kind of grew up in a hangar.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was a mechanic. I was born in Oregon. We moved to Idaho because he was moved over there to be the manager of the line station maintenance there in Boise. So came from Idaho, and now I'm in Minnesota, and I don't think I'm ever leaving because my kids live there, and they're not gonna leave, and I'm not gonna leave them because someday I'm gonna have grandkids, and I want to actually have them 15 minutes away versus halfway across the country.
Yep. So how did you go then from Idaho? Just go through a timeline of how you went from Idaho to where you are right now.
Yeah. So grew up in Idaho. I actually was a non-traditional student, as you are well aware, because we were really good friends when we were here. And I took 4 years off between high school and college. I was paying my own way, didn't really know what I wanted to do, was kind of wasting my own money, and so I stopped. I decided to do something totally different. I moved to Atlanta to be a nanny. She was an airline pilot, and though I'd grown up around airplanes and in a hangar, I never really kind of thought about going into it myself until she suggested, she goes, why don't you just go on a discovery flight? Because I was asking a ton of questions. She kind of noticed that I was asking kind of some of the right questions that she sees. So I went on a little discovery flight, and though I'd been around and in their airplanes really my whole life, I'd never been at the front of one, in control of one, and it completely changed the entire trajectory of my life. I decided then and there that I'm going to be an airline pilot as well. Finished up my time in Atlanta, moved back to Idaho. My husband, Scott, and we had been dating since high school, waited for him to finish school, and then drug him all over the place, starting in Oregon. I actually went to Mount Hood Community College, got my private pilot's license there. They had an aviation program, transferred to UND, and after UND, I graduated. As you know, our era when we were there, I got a lead instructor position in August of 2001, and then September 11th happened.
Yep.
And we all gathered. I remember gathering in that room on the third floor in the instructor lounge and watching all of that horrible day unfold. So a lot of things changed, as you know, in the industry. Also, in combination with that, getting the lead instructor position, I was able to see different things and do some different things other than just fly. And I kind of started thinking, I love flying, but do I love it enough to just do that? Or am I enjoying some of these other things that I can do and combine some of the things I think I might be good at with my absolute love of aviation? And so a couple of my friends, they went into sales, aircraft sales, and it was another light bulb moment. I saw what they were doing, and I thought, well, that looks like a whole lot more fun than honestly sitting in an airplane with people I don't really know and being on a trip. And I think it suited my personality a little bit more. So that was kind of another light bulb moment, like I said, and I decided, well, I think I'm going to pursue that. So my first job with aircraft sales was with Mooney Airplane Company. They took a big chance on me because I didn't have sales experience.
You started with Mooney.
I did.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was a really, really fun job.
Where were they out of?
So they're out of Kerrville, Texas. It's a really cute little town in Texas Hill Country. It's a beautiful part of Texas. Typically, you would fly into San Antonio and drive over to Kerrville, or fly your Mooney in there. But not a lot there wasn't at the time, a whole lot else going on in Kerrville. But I started with Kerrville, but started with Mooney. And they moved me to Rhode Island because that was the territory that was open. So not only did they take a chance on somebody with no sales experience, really, I had a little bit, working. I worked for this little company selling fasteners a little bit, but they moved an Idaho girl to the Northeast. Mm-hmm. So that was a giant culture shock, but it was a ton of fun. The people, they're great. They were, very much more direct, as you know, and I had an airplane. So if you go to buy a car, you obviously you take a test drive. People do the same thing with airplanes. So I had a demonstrator that I would fly around. We lived in Providence, so the airplane was based in Norwood. So I would take the airplane all over the territory, let people see the airplane and fly the airplane. So that CFI certificate came in handy because I was always sitting in the right seat, so they could sit in the left seat and experience the airplane. And you never know what you're going to get, right? When somebody's, we had people with no experience who wanted to learn how to fly an airplane to people with tons of time. So you just never knew who you're going to get. Similar with a student, right? Yep. So that CFI did come in handy even for this job, which I think people maybe not something that necessarily would translate. And so I did that for a couple of years, and part of anything, you're networking, right? And so I met some of the guys from Cessna we do a lot of fly-ins, and so you meet your competitors or people that are in the same industry. They encouraged me to apply for some open positions, and I did, and I got a job at the time. It was Cessna. Moved me to Wichita and lived in Wichita for a couple of years. Thank goodness for a supportive spouse, and my kids were little at the time because we were moving all over the place. So now we're in Wichita, working for Cessna. At the time, we had the Mustang out. It was a new platform. We wanted to. It was kind of the time of the VLJ. Remember the Eclipse? So this was our foray into that. And so I had the East Coast, another guy to the West Coast, take the airplane out. Pancake fly-ins, demo tours, et cetera, show people the airplane. I gradually moved into get my own territory, and that's when they sent me to Minneapolis, and that's where I've been for 12 years now.
Wow, 12 years you've been there.
I know, and I know Man. It's crazy. I think we've lived in Minnesota now longer than maybe I even lived in Idaho. We're coming up on it.
Isn't that something?
I know.
Unbelievable. So it sounds like, was September 11th a turning point for you? Or was it kind of gradual over that time?
It was a little gradual. It was gradual, but I think it was a turning point for a lot of people. I think that a lot of our class and our era did a lot of things that they didn't think that they were going to do. I mean, you're here still, and Beth is here. A lot of us I thought I was going to be flying for Alaska Airlines, moving back to Idaho, and I did none of that. Nothing that I envisioned doing did I do, but I'm so glad for where I am, because I can't imagine doing anything else. I absolutely love my job. I love what I do. But I think that keeping your options open and being open to different opportunities within aviation is something that I really try to kind of convey to students when they're asking me for advice. It's that, because you just don't know where you're going to be. The industry changed a lot. I saw a lot of my friends go airline, and some of them really didn't like it. Kind of a lost decade, I think, is what some of them call it. A lot of our friends went in air traffic control. They became teachers, did a lot of different things that they didn't think that they were going to do. And yeah, I mean, it was an interesting time for sure. The pay was terrible. Do you remember? I mean, that was a part. I mean, that's certainly a part of it. But I think that I was able to see. I kind of took my blinders off and was able to see a lot of different things in the industry.
Well, it's interesting too, because when you think about coming here, you're like airline, and then you're like, wow, I didn't know about that.
Right.
And then it's you open your eyes a little bit more to what are some of the other things that are available to me, and that's where networking comes in, like you talked about. I mean, how did networking play into your career?
Yeah, I mean, networking was huge. And I tell people it takes a lifetime to build up your reputation and 1 second to ruin it, right?
Yep.
And so networking is huge. So like I said, a couple of my friends went into aircraft sales, and knowing what they did and knowing them, and they knew me, and they were able to kind of vouch for me, right? For this company to be willing to be able to take a chance on me. And then from there, it's your job to prove yourself. But networking is huge. It's huge because especially in a tough job market, right? Like my son is graduated from college right now, and you are a resume, and you can try and make it stand out, but there's AI filters now, and there's so many different things. So if you can have somebody that you know and that they know you and they can trust that they're going to say, hey, if I put my neck on the line to recommend you, that's important, because you're not just going to do that for anybody. And if you can have somebody with a good reputation vouching for yours within their company, it opens doors, because you're not just a piece of paper anymore. You're a face, your name, your recommendation from somebody that they trust.
And they say that, it's not what you know, it's who you know, but to a point, because, in the flying industry, you can't just walk in and say, hire this person. It's got to go through a lot of stuff, and you have to know your stuff.
100%. Yep.
So it does definitely help, but the networking is so critical.
Right.
I mean, for
you
anything.
can only have somebody, help you get in the door, but once that door's opened, you have to make your own future, and you have to prove yourself, and hopefully not screw up too bad for the person who recommended you, right? That's kind of key.
Okay, so you've worked for Mooney, and now all the way up through Textron. And when did you go to Mooney? What year was that?
2006.
Okay, so 20 years.
Yes.
Over the course of 20 years, how have you seen aircraft sales change?
So the things that I've seen change the most is certainly technology has changed. Technology has changed. I've moved different airplanes, so I've moved from piston to jets to turboprops. The airplane is an airplane, but technology changes, people's missions change, perceptions change. I remember in 2008. So I got the lead instructor position a month before September 11th, and I got my job with Cessna in October of 2008, right before the financial crash. So I have really good timing.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I was really glad that I was at Cessna in 2008 and not at Mooney, because I think it would have been worse. But so after 2008, business jets we had a 2 to 3 year backlog. Your biggest competition was somebody willing to sell a position of, an airplane position so that they could get their airplane sooner. 2008 happened, the crash happened. We had, GM fly their business jets down and ask for a bailout, and that enraged people, right? So business jet perception, people that flew business jets, there was a perception that it was, just big fat cats, wasting money on these airplanes, and instead of defending their position and what they do and what they are able to do with their airplanes, they just tuck tail. And so it was really a difficult time in the industry. It's gotten better now. So post 2020, everything started kind of going crazy. So for a good 10 years, we were, or more, selling. We were selling airplanes within the year, within the quarter, and now we are back into a backlog situation. So, the industry is cyclic, just like with anything. It follows kind of the business cycle. I mean, airlines, this is the same thing. Yep. So you just have to be able to, weather those storms. And, there are going to be difficult times in your life. I was laid off at one point, and, that's hard. That's hard on your ego, right? Like, why did I get laid off? But when in 2009, I got laid off, and it was just a part of the cycle. We had, I think, 16,000 people working, and I got laid off. And I think the key was that if that happens, don't take it personally. Be gracious. And I came back a year later when we restructured. So, a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things are the same too. It's really about relationship building. That's the most important thing. It's the other thing that can't be taken over by AI. People still want to shake your hand and see your face and make sure they can trust you if they're going to buy something from you. So a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things have stayed the same.
What do you see, somebody that wants to get into aircraft sales, I think it takes a very special person and to have the ability to talk to anybody and be very upfront and nice and just vocal to people who, some people are very introverted and it's very tough for them to do that.
Yeah.
What kind of person is good at aircraft sales?
I think the person that is good at aircraft sales is okay with awkward silence. They are good at listening and not just constantly talking. In order to know what a customer needs or wants, you need to be able to listen to them. And so somebody who can listen, somebody who is okay talking to strangers, striking up conversations, somebody who's okay hearing the word no a lot, but not taking that as the final no. Being okay with being hung up on every once in a while. It's not for everybody, certainly, but it's also not rocket science. I mean, you can learn to sell anything, but you do have to have the kind of personality that's okay talking to strangers and is comfortable with that and can be good at it.
And also know your product. Because when people ask you questions, you better know the product.
100%. You need to be an expert in what you're selling, right? And you also need to believe in what you're selling and enjoy and like what you're selling. I mean, what's cooler than selling airplanes?
I know.
I can't think of anything. I thought maybe boats, but I'm like, no. Yachts, nah. Still airplanes. Way
It's
cooler.
airplanes.
Yeah.
Someone that wants to get into aircraft sales, what are some ways one to get in, or internships or anything that there is available to them?
Yeah, so when I was doing this, I would have killed for these opportunities, but they didn't exist. But now we do some really cool things for entry level folks. So there are absolutely internships all throughout different departments within Textron Aviation. So marketing, aircraft sales, engineering, you name it. So there's a bunch of different internships you can do while you're still in college. And then we have a program called the sales development program. And what we do is we recruit students mostly from actually business, a lot of business schools, sales marketing backgrounds. We go to sales conferences and recruit students for that sales development program. What that program is you come to Cessna for a year, or to Textron Aviation for a year in Wichita. And you rotate through some different departments. You really get to know Textron. They give you some good training. And then the goal is to put you out in the field somewhere, whether that's in new aircraft sales, we have a parts sales program, and we have aftermarket sales. So, selling, upgrades and maintenance, et cetera. So it's a really great program. If somebody wants to get into that or learn more about that, we have more information on our website for sure. But
so then there's more than just aircraft sales. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
We were asked earlier to ask you the question, do you get to fly planes?
So I haven't flown in a really long time. I did have a company car, which was a TTX. Some of our salespeople still do. My territory is really big now, as we talked about. And so it doesn't really make as much sense for me to have an airplane, though my counterpart, Lucan, who lives in Rochester, he has a TTX. So I'm looking forward to him being able to take me to these little airports that are harder to get into, that don't have a lot of airline service. So for instance, next week we're going to be in Dubuque. And I'm like, Lucan, can you bring me? There are definitely opportunities to fly, though. Especially if you're in Wichita, we have a flying club, and it's subsidized. And so you can rent really beautiful brand new airplanes for very, very low cost. We also subsidize ratings. So if you want to get a private rating, we'll subsidize that, instrument, commercial, et cetera. And especially if that's the trajectory that you want to do. So there are definitely opportunities to continue flying. We also have demo pilots. So we've had demo pilots become salespeople and kind of vice versa. So we have an amazing group of demo pilots. And their job really is super important. They're a huge part of the sales process. We couldn't do it without them. And most of them are based in Wichita. We have airplanes that dispatch out of there that go everywhere. Because even though I'm not doing the piston folks will tend to fly their demos just like I did when I was at Mooney. But once you get into the turbine airplanes, we have a professional flight crew that do that. And then I'm usually in the back serving coffee and cocktails.
Oh, okay.
Flight attendant now.
Yeah. What are some of your proudest accomplishments over the course of your career?
It used to be when I was at Mooney or selling to more owner operator type folks, it was really fun to see them reaching the pinnacle of what that was for their life. Because obviously buying a house is a big thing, but buying an airplane is an entirely different situation. So some of these people that we were selling airplanes to, it's kind of their lifelong dream, and it was really fun to be able to deliver that. But the very coolest thing that I think I was maybe most proud of, or I don't know if you want to say proud, but something that it was a really happy moment. I used to have somebody that I worked with, and he went to a different manufacturer. I don't think he was a big fan of me. I don't think he had a lot of, confidence maybe. And I was we were both working with the same customer to try, and we were two different manufacturers, similar airplanes. This particular customer, he needed to do a demo flight, wanted to come to the factory. So what I did was I found out he was going to be down near the other manufacturer's headquarters doing a tour there. So I said, hey, why don't I come pick you up and I'll bring you to Wichita from there, and I can give you a tour and then, bring you back home. And that's exactly what I did. So we went to the airport. I got there with my airplane. In walks my customer with the person that was at the manufacturer that he was a VP at this point. And he's like, oh, hi, Heather. He's surprised to see me, I think. And so I said hi, I was gracious, brought him to Wichita and sold him the airplane, and he bought many, 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 many more airplanes after that. So that's one thing that, it was kind of nice to be able to almost, I don't know if I want to say stick it to him, but man, it felt really good. Yeah. And the fact that he didn't just buy that airplane, he bought a whole bunch after that. Yeah. And so that was fun. So that is also something that once you get an airplane or a customer by a certain manufacturer, it's a little harder to get them out of that. And so that's one of those things where if you can get them at the beginning and they grow with you, and that's something that Cessna does really well, Textron Aviation does really well, is we have from a 172 all the way up to a super midsize airplane and everything in between. So we can really move people all the way up the line. Yeah. And so that's exactly what he did. But we were able to get him at the very beginning into an M2 525 and then, up through the ranks into a longitude. So that was a fun process.
Well, you said you want to stay in Minneapolis. Where do you go from here in your career if you're, try and stay in the cities? Yeah.
Well, honestly, my company is amazing at moving people into different roles if they want to do that. They really want to see you succeed, and we love promoting from within. But honestly, once I got into the role that I'm in now, this is where I want to be. This was my goal. I don't honestly endeavor to be a VP of sales, or I really enjoy the boots on the ground type of work that I get to do, the travel, meeting the customers. This is honestly what I want to do, and as long as they let me do it, that's what I plan to do.
Are you there for delivery?
I am. Yep. So I was actually just there Monday and Tuesday for delivery, and then
that's got to be an amazing sight when their eyes just.
Yeah, it is really fun. We do some fun things for customers. We put lights on the airplane, and we figure out some music that might be fun for them to walk into. I've had some deliveries during Christmas where we put big giant bows on the airplane. One of my customers, he's so funny, he really didn't want to take delivery during Christmas, which I understand because it is, but sometimes these things happen, and delivery was right around Christmas. So the delivery manager rented a Santa Claus suit and actually dressed up as Santa Claus and made him sit on it was hilarious. It was not inappropriate because but it was so funny, and they were just cracking up. So I have some fun memories from delivery. We absolutely try to make it important to them and
special for
each person. It's a little bit different. Yeah. Try to customize it.
Heather Ryder, great talk about aircraft sales. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt.